Another story is waiting in the dark. This one is called Latch Side. The closet door clicked shut behind me, and the latch was on the outside. I had stepped in from my winter coat. I heard the clean little snap. Then the knob turned in my hand and did nothing. I pulled once. The door stayed set. No rattle, no looseness. It held like someone wanted it held. I called out, just a normal hello. My voice went flat in the coats. No answer came back. I tried the knob again. It spun easy. The latch stayed seated. A stuck door usually argues. This one agreed with itself. I dropped to a knee and slid my fingers under the door. The carpet pressed tight. There was weight on the other side. Not a lot. Just enough to say, I'm here. I told myself it was the frame. Old buildings swell, doors catch. That story almost worked. I shoved my shoulder into the panel. It creaked. It did not move. From the other side came a second click. Not the latch slipping, not the door settling. It sounded like a fingertip lifting metal and setting it back down. Careful. I went still. I said, "Who is that?" The words came out steady because they had to. Silence, then slow footsteps. Not leaving, just shifting position, staying close to the crack. I realized something simple. If the latch opened, I would see whoever stood there, and whoever stood there knew it too. I took out my phone and called my neighbor across the hall. It rang until it didn't. I texted him anyway. While I waited, I listened. Pipes. The refrigerator hum. Distant traffic. Under it all was a softer sound, like someone breathing through their nose. My phone buzzed. My neighbor wrote back. Out of town. Sorry, man. I stared at the thin line of light under the door. It did not change. I remembered the doorknob then. I had replaced it myself a month earlier. The old one had stuck. I bought a cheap brass knob. No inside lock. Just a latch plate and 2 screws. So there was no trick in the mechanism. No button. No deadbolt. Nothing I could set from inside. Outside the door, something shifted. The carpet fibers brushed my fingertips like a warning. I said, "Open it." The breathing stopped. For a long moment, nothing happened. It felt like waiting for someone to decide. Then I heard another sound. Metal on metal. Faint and familiar. Keys. Not in a lock. There was no lock. Just keys clinking together, slow, like someone was rolling them in a palm. Like they wanted me thinking about doors that did have locks. A smell slid in at the bottom of the door. Aftershave, cheap and sharp. The kind you catch in an elevator. It didn't belong in my place. Footsteps moved away. The weight at the bottom lifted. The latch still didn't release. I called the building manager. I told him I was stuck in my own closet. His laugh started and died. He said he was on his way. When I hung up, the breathing came back. Closer now. Right on the other side of the door. I put my lips to the crack and spoke low. "If you open it, I'm going to see you." The breathing paused. Then came that careful click again. The latch lifted. The door swung open. My hallway was empty. The air was still, like nobody had crossed it. But the smell of aftershave hung there for a second, then thinned out, like a hand waving it away. The manager arrived and checked the door. He jiggled the latch. He pushed. He pulled. It opened and shut like it had always behaved. He said, "Must have caught funny." I didn't argue. I packed that night. Not neatly. Just enough to leave. I moved out 2 weeks later. I told people it was the rent. I told them the closet was annoying. Last night, the new tenant texted me. He got my number from the manager. He asked, "Did your closet ever lock from the outside?" I stared at the message until the screen dimmed. I typed back, "No." And in the quiet of my current bedroom, I heard a small, patient click, like someone testing a latch to see if I was home. Another story is Waiting in the Dark. This one is called Wrong Key. A key turned in my front door lock, while every spare key sat in a ceramic bowl on my kitchen counter. My wife had taken our son to her sister's for the night. I stayed behind to touch up paint on the hallway trim. Quiet work. Quiet house. The kind that makes you forget the porch is only a few steps away. The first turn was slow, metal whispering through pins, a private sound that did not belong to me. No knock followed it. The knob jiggled once, like a polite test. I set the brush down and wiped my fingers on my jeans. The bowl was right there on the counter. 2 house keys, 2 car fobs, the brass spare we never used. I picked up the brass spare and held it tight, like it could argue for me. At the door, the key turned again, harder this time, like a copy that never quite fits. The deadbolt was thrown. I had locked it after lunch, out of habit. The key kept working anyway. Not fast, not frustrated. Patient. A soft exhale touched the door from the other side, close enough that if the wood had been thinner, I would have felt it. "Can I help you?" I said. Nothing answered. The key paused, then turned to the edge of open. It held there, like whoever it was wanted me to do the rest. I didn't step on the creaky spot in the runner. I don't know why I cared, but I did. Moving quiet in your own house makes it feel like you're borrowing it. I lifted the sidelight blind an inch. Porch rail, blue sky. The corner of my welcome mat that said HI in cheerful letters. No shoes, no shadow. The key scraped again, just enough to remind me it was still there. My phone sat on the counter. My thumb hovered over my wife's name, then over 911. Both felt like admitting something I couldn't put into a simple sentence. The latch made a small sound, not opening, just settling, like someone had touched the handle and let it go. A new sound followed, faint but clear. A single fingernail dragging down the paint near the lock. It stopped, then it started again, a little lower, like a person marking a spot without leaving a real mark. The deadbolt rattled from the outside. Not a kick, not a shove. A steady little shake, like time was on their side. In the junk drawer, the flashlight lay on top of rubber bands and old batteries. I took it out and clicked it on. The beam jittered on the floor because my hand wasn't as steady as I wanted. The key went still. For a few seconds, the world tried to go back to normal. Refrigerator hum. A dog barking somewhere down the block. My own breathing loud in my ears. Then the key turned the other way, slow and careful. I heard it slide out. I waited for footsteps on the porch boards. I waited for the screen door to squeal. None of it happened. No retreat. No goodbye. The mail slot flap tapped once. That thin little door we never used because our mail went to the curb box. It tapped again. A white plastic rectangle slid through and dropped onto the hardwood inside. No envelope, no note. I watched it from 10 feet away, like it might bite. When I picked it up, it was a key tag from a hardware store. Blank, clean, still warm from someone's hand. A fresh silver house key hung on the ring. Sharp cut. Not one of ours. I didn't set it down. I didn't want it joining my keys, like it belonged with them. Through the kitchen window, a gray sedan sat across from my driveway. Engine off. Somebody in the driver's seat with their head tipped down, like they were reading a phone. The head lifted just slightly. It didn't turn toward the window. It angled toward the house, like they knew exactly where the front door was without looking. I stepped back from the glass. From the front door came a soft, satisfied click. Not the deadbolt, the knob latch, the little catch that grabs when the door closes. The deadbolt was still thrown, but the latch sounded seated tight, as if the door had just been pulled shut from the outside. I walked closer and didn't touch anything. The key tag swung on its ring in my hand. Tiny metal sound. A reminder, an offering. Through the peephole, the porch was empty. Sunlight on the steps. My welcome mat. Nothing else. I checked the street again. The gray sedan was gone. No engine, no tires on gravel, no door slam. Just an empty curb like it had never been there. I stood there with that new key in my fist, trying to decide if it was meant for my door today or my door later. The lock turned again from the outside, slow, patient. Only a quarter turn, then a stop. Like someone was practicing. Like they were making sure the cut was right. Like they weren't ready to come in yet, but they wanted me ready when they did. Another story is waiting in the dark. This one is called Dead Static. The television turned itself on after I had pulled the plug out of the wall. I was standing there with the cord in my hand. The outlet was empty. The screen still bloomed gray and loud with static. I didn't own a sound bar. No game system, no cable box. Just the TV on a stand and a bare wall behind it. The noise filled the living room like somebody had kicked a door in. I stared at the plug, then at the TV, like one of them would blink first. Static rolled across the glass. Then it changed. Not quieter, more focused. Like it was trying to find a picture that wasn't being sent. A darker smear slid through the snow. It wasn't a shape you could name. It was motion, like someone moving behind a shower curtain. I glanced toward the hallway. Empty. The bedroom door was open. The bathroom was dark. The house looked like my house. I told myself it was leftover charge. Old electronics can hold a little power. I'd heard that. The static pulsed. The movement on the screen lifted, slow. It looked like an arm rising. I hadn't moved. My shoulders were tight anyway. The TV made it feel like I had. I stepped to my left. On the screen, the movement stepped too. A beat late, like it was copying me but refusing to be perfect. That was enough. I reached to the side of the TV and pressed the power button. The static snapped off. The room went quiet enough to hear the refrigerator cycle. I kept my hand there. I counted breaths I didn't want to count. The TV turned back on. This time there was no snow. The screen showed my living room from behind me. I saw the couch, the lamp with the crooked shade. I saw the back of my own head, the thinning spot I pretended not to have. I did not turn around. In the hallway on the screen, something stood where the light didn't reach. Tall. Narrow. Not black. Just wrong. Like the room had been cut out around it. It leaned forward. Curious. Then it raised a hand. Not a wave. Not a reach. It pointed, right at the back of my head. My mouth went dry, but I kept breathing through my nose. I could hear it, loud in the quiet. I looked down at the wall outlet again. Still empty. Still useless. On the screen, the thing stepped into my living room. The carpet behind me made no sound. That was the worst part. The TV said it moved, but the house did not agree. I backed toward the kitchen without taking my eyes off the screen. Slow, careful, like I might trip some rule. The picture tracked with me, smooth and steady, like it was meant for this. The thing followed too, staying just behind my shoulders on the screen. Close enough that the air around it seemed thinner. I said my name out loud, just to put a human sound in the room. The thing stopped. Then, on the screen, my shoulders twitched. I hadn't moved. The twitch happened again, smaller, like someone testing a puppet string. I hit the hallway where the breaker panel was. I yanked the metal door open and flipped the main. The house died all at once. Lights, fridge, everything. The TV stayed on. Its glow became the only light, a flat gray in a dead house. The picture held on my living room, empty now. No me, no thing. Just the room, waiting. Then the image jumped. Not static, not snow. A clear view of my hallway, from the inside, from the breaker panel, looking out at me. My own face stared back, pale in the TV light, like I'd been caught doing something I wasn't supposed to do. Behind me in that shot, the darkness of the hall shifted, careful, like it didn't want to be seen moving. I didn't wait for anything else. I left the breaker door hanging open. I walked out of my front door and didn't look back. I spent the night in my car under a streetlight with the keys in the ignition. Every little rustle in the seat sounded like it had intent. In the morning, I came back with daylight and a headache. I didn't turn the power on. I didn't step into the living room. I grabbed the TV like it was dirty laundry and carried it straight to my trunk. I took it to the dump and set it on the pile without letting the screen face me. That was 3 months ago. Last night, I woke up in the dark to a familiar sound. Static. It wasn't loud. Just a soft, steady hiss, like someone breathing through their teeth. It came from behind me, close to the bed. Then something shifted, slow and careful, making sure it didn't brush the sheets.